Hey guys, day three is in the can for the Karen Reed case. I forgot that today was going to be a half day, so I was, well, shocked when Bev said that we were done before lunch. But we had, the day started out as normal. Bev decided that the clip that was in question yesterday could come in. So the one about, Karen accusing John's mother of leaning over the island and accusing her of running John over was allowed to come in and was played right before, Trooper Girth Nose got up. Look, I'm just going to call him Girth Nose. This is like the Petty Express rundown. It's going to be mostly, ad hominem attacks and some information. But after that, we were back to Mr. Yannetti crossing, EMT firefighter Whitley, Mr. Who looked suspiciously like, Sam Eagle from the Muppets. We salute your service, sir. Anywho, what was very interesting is in the cross, his use of the kind of word whiskers was notably decreased. Now, Yannetti did talk about how his statements evolved over time. So while he had said that, and let me get to some specificity on that. So the first time he was actually interviewed, 8 days after the incident, he didn't say that, at any point did he say any phrases like, Karen asking him how, many hours in the snow, or he didn't say, he was he's been in the snow for so many hours sitting, laying. That wasn't a part of his statement at that time. So when he was interviewed by, you know, Trooper Proctor, this was not part of his statement. And then in the grand jury in 2002, there was different answers. So basically, then at the trial last year, you know, again, there was the first time that the phrase "many hours in the snow" or "many hours without a coat," it was the first time that "many hours" had been added, and then yesterday, "many hours sitting in the snow," so "sitting" was also added yesterday, so I think Yannetti did a good job of, pointing out how this testimony has evolved over the years to become more detailed instead of less detailed, and that's generally not how memory works. I mean, I could be wrong. My memory is like a leaky sieve. That being said, what can you do? So again, you can definitely tell that Bev does not like Yannetti kind of adding asides or uh, trying to get any answers from these witnesses. The defense has had to pull teeth trying to get answers. Jackson has even had to say, these are not trick questions. So every time that the, state witnesses vacillate or change their story on the defense's, cross, I think it does, just add another grain of sand in that, m sand pile that the state or that the defense said that they were going to present of this state. Their witnesses changing, their evidence changing, their timelines changing. So I do think that, that went well. Again, you can definitely tell that Bev does not like, the defense and their style. Basically, Brennan did try to rehabilitate the witness, stating that, you aren't speaking verbatim what Karen told you, you're more paraphrasing, and try to get out that he wasn't lying. Then the clip with Karen alleging that, John O'Keefe's mother confronted her when she went into John's house over the island was played. The next two witnesses were Jen DeMalkus, general manager of CF McCarthy's. She was basically brought in to authenticate the security footage. And then Bridget Meehan was also a short witness. She was a manager at the Waterfall Bar and Grill, again, just there to authenticate the um, the footage. We then come to Michael Commendy. He was at the waterfall with John. They were celebrating both of their daughters had gotten into a very exclusive, very prestigious, from what I'm understanding, private school. So they had gone out to CF McCart, or I'm sorry, to the waterfall for drinks. Um, you know, basically, N he reported that they were kind of a normal couple. He didn't notice anything wrong, did decide to or he did leave, CF McCarthy's, because his son got hit with a hockey stick and lost a tooth, so he had to leave. Uh, Now on cross, it was very, the defense was able to pull out that, he didn't notice any tension between John and Karen. They seemed loving, they seemed caring, it was elicited on cross that, as far as he could tell, they had a loving, supportive, adult relationship, between Karen and John. I mean, as far as they know. Again, as far as any of your friends know what's going on in your relationship. But, also stated that he didn't think that or he had not heard anything from John that he was planning to break up with Karen, anything like that. Again, so, you know, now the state came back with a direct and basically said, "You don't know what was going on behind the scenes," which is also a fair point, to put out. You generally don't tell everyone that you're, going through a rough patch all the time. We then go back to Trooper, Guranos. I'm just gonna call him Girthinos, look, honestly. Basically, he continued to talk about, downloading the text messages and cell phone messages between Karen and John, and then, he read off some texts that were not featured in the first trial. The odd thing about that was there were maybe a portion, maybe a page or 2 that weren't, created into a PowerPoint to show up to the jury. Uh, so these were also texts that Baker did go back and look, and these were not part of the first trial. Um, Again, the texts do paint that they were in somewhat of a toxic sort of pattern in their relationship. Uh, you know, it doesn't paint Karen as this altogether heifer who, decided to take her frustration and bacchanate fastly, with her pedal to the metal. Um, it seems like she is well aware that John felt, a lot of changes and maybe discomfort about going from an uncle role to a parent role. It kind of does show a little bit of a behind the scenes of what the greater O'Keefe family dynamic might have been, because Karen does make clear on several points in several texts that she doesn't want to, use John or rely on John like, his family always is relying on him, basically in the sense like, I understand you are carrying a great load of responsibility. I'm trying to be as independent as I can to not dump more on you. Um, it does seem like John was really struggling from that change from, being an uncle who kind of gets to be the fun guy to parenting where you have to be the mean guy. Sometimes you have to say no. Uh, but bottom line through these entire texts, John doesn't come off looking the greatest. Now, it sounds like he had a bad day, sounds like there was a lot of stuff going on in the background. Again, would any of us look the best if we are judged by our text on our bad days? Probably not. So I say this with full knowledge that taking any of the text I have, when I'm upset with my husband, wouldn't paint me in the best light either. So I completely do get it. Again, that's kind of why I put it out there. It does seem like he does seem, in my opinion, checked out. I'm not a relationshipologist though, you guys, so all these things are just me and a tinfoil hat I don't have. That being said, it did seem like Karen is a lot like a lot of women, we wanna have a plan, and John was just kind of like, "We'll do whatever. If I see you, I see you." And that makes, 2 type A to function people like me, very, very nervous, anxious, and we'd like, set answers. So there did just seem to be personality differences and things like that. Do I think it was an Amber Heard, like Johnny Depp level? No, but there definitely was some tension. But none of the texts, none of the calls that John refused or that he answered, again, put me in mind of this woman had an axe to grind. She was, she had a deep simmering, resentment. Again, it seemed like she was pointing out valid things that you would, be pointing out if you were in a relationship and maybe wanted some clarity. That being said, like I said, don't ever judge me by my text. So there you go. Now, tomorrow, we will be having a viewing tomorrow. It is another half day, which will be fun because I believe we have a half day tomorrow and then another half day on Monday, which is always great because, sure. And it looks like there is going to be a little bit of debate tomorrow, starting out to see which of the experts will be, going on the ride along to the viewing and things like that. So I hope you will join us. And Mornings with Mo will be over on Shizzy Wiznut's channel. So SWN. Yeah. I love when I'm dyslexic and I have to remember how to spell things, but I don't do that mentally very well. Anyhoozle, I'll be over there tomorrow morning for a weekly roundup where we will see who gets to make the other snort laugh as quickly as possible. I am hoping for the gold this weekend. I hope you have a wonderful day. Please like, subscribe, share all the YouTubey things. Thank you for sharing your time with me. And I hope you're enjoying these breakdowns. I am trying to give you all the information, a little bit of snark, and trying to stay awake because good night, nurse. Uh, there's a lot of information. If you don't pay real close attention, you're going to miss a lot of things. So hopefully I can be your space where, I bring a little bit of clarity to this case in so much as one human is able. I'm not like a saint or nothing. Anyway, you guys, be kind to yourself, be kind to others, but have a sassy mouth and carry a can of bitch fire because kindness no longer equals doormats. Bye, my lovelies.